All right, so that leads to an Arkansas win early today over Mississippi State in the final seconds, and Indiana comeback win at home over Ohio State. So on the bubble, have Arkansas and Indiana done enough where North Carolina has not? In your mind, have the Calipari Hogs and Mike Woodson, who's already resigned, Hoosiers, have they done enough right now? Matt, what do you think?
All right, well, first, let's just compare the two teams together. Arkansas is above Indiana on the seed list and relative to the cut line. That's pretty clear cut because collecting SEC wins, against those opponents, Arkansas is getting more of a boost, more of a bump for winning those games than what Indiana is doing. And Indiana did lose the Oregon game earlier this week, and Indiana does play Oregon in its first Big Ten tournament game.
Interesting.
So I think Arkansas is very likely in. That would be my characterization. Not an absolute lock, but really, really close. And Arkansas will be helped by, if it loses in the first round of the SEC tournament, it's losing to a really good team, probably. Right. So that's going to offer no real negative downward pull in terms of the resume. So Arkansas is very likely in. I don't want to say a lock. Like win one SEC tournament game, and then Arkansas is an absolute lock, but very likely in. Go ahead.
While we're on Arkansas, they have the win at Kentucky, which is it's a large win. They have wins over Missouri and now today over Mississippi State, who are going to be tournament teams, who are top 30, 35 teams in the net themselves. That's a stronger argument on the face right there on North Carolina before we ever get to conference tournaments. I'm just saying. Now for Indiana, let's segue to them. They have a win at Michigan State, by the way, down the stretch. They have beaten Purdue recently. They have now beaten Ohio State, another bubble team that they're battling today. Compare that to North Carolina. Segue to Indiana. Compare that to North Carolina, if you would.
Yeah, North Carolina just has that one quad one win. North Carolina didn't get enough done in Maui. North Carolina and Michigan State went to overtime in Maui back in November. Imagine if North Carolina had been able to finish off that win, but it didn't. And that's a great reminder, TJ. Right. November matters. November matters. Having that result.
By the way, these guys beat Michigan State in Maui. That does matter for their resume. And UConn as well. But North Carolina had the same opportunity to beat Michigan State and did not. And one more thing we need to clarify. I'm not just bashing North Carolina here. I didn't go to Duke. The North Carolina athletic director, Bubba Cunningham's the head of the selection committee, by the way. He's supposed to be out of the room when they discuss it, but as I often say, I'm going to say it again here on College Basketball Coast to Coast, he comes back in the room and sits back down, and they're not in the tournament, and they're all looking at him, and he's looking at them, and they're looking at him while they're doing these votes and discussing them. Of course, it's human beings. That's going to matter. But back to it. North Carolina repeatedly had chances to win games that they have not won, including in the ACC. And this close loss stuff, stop it. Whether it's Joe Lunardi on ESPN, I don't care who it is, somebody on the ACC network trying to spin it for them, the committee does not look at close losses. They don't value close losses. Oh, you lost to a tough team and you lost close. None of that matters. None of that matters on losing close. That's why Indiana getting 2 or 3 of these wins late in the year matters more than North Carolina in my mind. Wrap it up with a final point on that, and then I want to move on, Matt.
Yeah, well, so the ACC was so weak this year that, and hey, like Louisville and Clemson had great seasons, and credit to them, credit to Pat Kelsey and Brad Brownell. But Louisville and Clemson are not good enough to go 18-2 in 20 ACC league games unless the rest of the conference is really bad. And so that's why the ACC is on track to be a 3-bid league. It's because SMU and North Carolina, like North Carolina is very much part of this. SMU, North Carolina, Wake, like they all had their shots, not just at Duke, but at Louisville and Clemson. Just win one of those games against Louisville or Clemson, and they couldn't do it. North Carolina couldn't do it. So, yeah, really, like you had so many teams to fatten up on in a really bad ACC. You lost some games to the middle and lower tiers, and then you don't beat Louisville and Clemson. Come on, this is not a debate.